We've
took a
look
lot
at this.
to. Took
We've
a
got
lot
a question.
To we have a
I
question
don't know.
on. We have a chat room.
We have a
question?
chat room question.
Yeah.
What do we got here? I don't. Oh, it's scrolled. Yeah, it's scrolled off. Can I use this text box to frame a easy tax question? Yes, you may. What is it? Okay. My wife and I moved to Vancouver, BC 18 months ago. I am a US and she is dual. I don't work. She's got the big job. Last year, her employer arranged her Canada tax. This year, I had a small amount of income, about $400. I'm wondering if I have a separate reporting requirement from her return. We usually file in us as married.
Well, you have to, and now I would like to know. I'm going to ask the question, and hopefully you'll answer it too. Does your wife still have a green card? Because if is she a dual citizen? I want to know that.
Yeah, she's a dual citizen.
Says she's a dual citizen?
Yeah.
Okay, so the two of you still have to do a joint U.S. tax return. Every year for the rest of your life, the two of you have to file a joint tax return. It doesn't have to be joint. It could be married filing separately, and there's reasons for doing that. Peter, my son, was doing a married filing separately, one for people in your position today. Easier to do the foreign tax credits and easier to do a couple of other things if you do that. But for Canada purposes, we do not have a joint tax return. Now, if you've only got $400, she can just do her tax return and she can claim you as a dependent. And that's fine. So you don't have to do a tax return if you've only got $400.
For Canada.
For
You
Canada.
still have to do the US one.
But you still have to do the U.S. return.
Yep.
And for the U.S. return, it's likely easier for you in this circumstance to do a joint tax return. And if you do a joint tax return, you'd report your $400 self-employed as likely on a Schedule C. She's going to report her income from her job, and she can exempt up to just about $90,000, or she can do a foreign tax credit. I recommend that you do a foreign tax credit. I always recommend that you do a foreign tax credit if you've got children, because there's so many people, everybody that's a U.S. citizen in Canada. We have 7 U.S. citizens right now in Canada. We're catching up in the
But you're just catching
House
up
office right now. We're doing back 7 years.
Back 7 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6 years plus the current year.
Yep.
And there's 7 of them right now. That's the most we've had in here at one time in, I don't know, long time. So you have to do your U.S. return. You have to do the Canadian return. Your wife has to do her Canadian return. She can just put you down as a dependent. She doesn't dependent and show your $400. You don't have to do a tax return unless you want to get started in the system. I presume if you have a PR card, a permanent resident card, you should get a social insurance number if you don't have one.
He has a work permit, pending permanent residence card.
Okay, so she can claim you, and if you've got a work permit, you can go down to the Canada Pension OAS Service Canada office in your neighborhood, and you can get a social insurance number. And you have to have a social insurance number for your wife to claim you as a dependent. I presume that you got one last year for her first tax return so that she could claim you last year. Now, does that
Sounds
answer
good.
the question? Is there anything else? That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Got any more?
He says, yes, I have a social security number.
He has a social insurance number. Social security number is a U.S. number. I'm talking about a Canadian number, which is a social insurance number.
Yeah.
He's got a social insurance number?
Hasn't come back yet.
Okay.
It's lagging.
Yes, he has an SIN.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if he's got a
The
number,
audio's lagging by about a minute.
okay. So if he's got a number, then she can do his tax return, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, if you run into a problem because you're trying to do it yourself, you know where to come. Right?
Santa.
Santa, yes. Where is this fellow? What city is this fellow? Oh, he said Vancouver.
Yeah,
He
he said
said he
Vancouver,
came to
yeah.
Vancouver 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Another one of
remember-
them darned
And
expatriate
remember, if you've
US.
got the one lady that's been forced into getting her U.S. tax returns done 7 years, has got a couple of 3 kids, and hasn't been doing her tax return, and she's going to get $3,000 a year refund because each kid is entitled to a $1,000
There you go.
tax credit from the States, even though they live in Canada.
Yep.
So people can do these tax returns and make money. It's not if you've got children. And you don't get the refund if you do a earned income exemption, the Form
Yep.
2555. You only get the refund if you do a foreign tax credit.
Now, you know what's even better? He cheered for Canada.
No, did he cheer for Canada too?
Yep.
You know, you don't know. I spent Sunday Fred and I did the radio show on 6:50 a.m. on Sea Isle.
Yep.
And driving back at just like 11:15, and you're a motorcyclist, right?
Oh, yes.
And Fred's behind me, and
Yep.
I'm sort of looking in the rearview mirror. And suddenly, right in front, not in front of me directly, there's a car in between. I can see sort of peripherally a car moves over from the right. There's a motorcyclist in front of the Volvo in front of me, and the car is coming from one of the turnoffs into
Yep.
the night street on the other side, in the Richmond side.
Yep, on the Richmond side, yep.
And the car just moves over into a motorcycle.
Yep.
The motorcycle doesn't get hit by that car. He moves over, getting out of the way. Part of the motorcycle gets caught in the actual fender well of the
Oh.
Volkswagen Jetta,
Nasty
grabs the
one,
car.
yeah. Yeah.
The piece was. It was weird the way it got caught.
Yeah.
It actually, the way he moved over, the foot peg literally pierced in between the chrome and the fender.
Okay.
And got
caught in there and he couldn't get out.
He flipped and went through the air, landed in front of the Volvo in front of me. The Volvo in front of me just goes like that to the right, and he got in. And as Mitchell and so on know, if you've ever driven with me, I'm not a close follower.
No.
I had lots of room in front of me because I couldn't go to the right or left. I had cars on both sides of me.
Yep.
So I got stopped about good car length from the guy. I get
Yep.
out of the car with my cell phone, calling 911. A couple of other cars stop, and the lady who was obviously a nurse or had first aid training anyway,
Yep.
she gets over. The motorcycle is completely unconscious. I'm talking to the ambulance. Another guy comes up and she's telling him what to do, and I'm standing there talking to the ambulance people, saying, "No, he's not. Yes, he's conscious. His eyes are no. He doesn't seem to know what he's doing. He's
Had his bell rung.
gobbling, and he was unconscious to start off with. He's gibberish, and it turned out afterwards, because he did regain some, although he's still in the hospital with brain damage. He was Filipino and didn't speak English. He barely hear.
Okay. Yep.
The motorcycle broke off of this car and just went for hell and gone down, kept on going, amazing distance before it finally cracked out when it went into the wall, the cement retainer wall in the middle. So when I
Had
got
a Toyota
off,
gas pedal on it.
yeah, and then suddenly a fireman in full uniform shows up with a first aid kit. He's been going by in an actual Richmond Fire Department captain's truck going the other way.
Stopped and
I think his name was Dave Montgomery, I'm not sure. He was a wonderful addition. So he's there, and he takes more command.
yep.
And the next thing I know, I've got my sweater off. We're putting it under the guy's head, pulling because he was trying to. We didn't do.
Trying to get his helmet off. You're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to. But this guy was making so much effort trying to get it off, and we couldn't stop him.
Yeah.
That we had to assist him and
Lead
take
follower, get out of the way.
we had to take it off. So I got my blue sweater under his head, and then spent the next I'm going to say half an hour, but I'm sure it was only 20
Holding his
minutes.
head so his spine
holding
didn't
head
change.
absolutely
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Because my daughter Wendy, if
Yep.
you remember, had
I
a broken
do
neck,
understand that, yep.
quadriplegic. Anyway, so that's how I spent my Sunday.
Well, I'm sorry you missed the game because it was quite a game.
I did see the game.
Oh, you did see the game?
But I missed the first 15 minutes, and then of course the RCMP going to haul the guy's car away, and that got hit by the motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And he's and I looked, I said, I bet you'd really like a ride wherever you're going. Oh, yeah. So
Yep.
got him in the old Cadillac and
Yep.
fed him some mandarin oranges while we drove downtown. And, we drove down, because he said he was going down to Howe and Robson to be for that stuff.
Part
there,
of the
meeting some
celebration,
friends.
Yep.
And he's an part-time actor and an artist. And we go down Kingsway, and we turn left at 7th, and I say the Foundation's a hell of a good ride. He says, "Oh, we go there all the time," which is how I found out he was an actor. And he goes to we drive by Andy Pendragon, Poston Clark is sitting here. We drive by where he lives, George. We drive by his place, I think is the corner of 7th and Halifax, or 7th and Quebec. Well,
Close,
7 in Halifax, 7 in Quebec. I wasn't positive. And then, of course, this fellow who's the actor knows about all these funny cars around and has seen my car. outside of Andy's place because he's driving a car
Yep.
there, and
Yep.
he goes to auditions, and there's a right down from Andy's place. There's an actor's studio there.
So you've seen your fire or your police car and
No, not the police
Not
car.
the police
just,
car,
no,
but-
just the
oh,
black Cadillac.
The
yeah.
Cadillac. Okay.
So it's such a small world.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't get away from anything.
No. But I mean, hearing about motorcycles
Well,
having a problem.
When you're a motorcycle rider and you
hey.
see how close it can happen,
I've
and I've
been.
been a motorcycle rider for years, and you got to stay out of those.
You know me. I ride the biggest bike I can find. It's not a Harley. It's not loud. It's a Honda Goldwing. The reason that I ride such a big bike is because I want to make sure that if somebody hits me, I make a dent in their car so that they've got to explain it. If nothing else. But the other part is, it's got a horn that's almost as loud as your
Talking
Cadillac.
about